What are you sick of trying to explain to people? Just because I said it's true doesn't mean I like that it's true. Underrated comment. I'm a historian, and when I point out misconceptions people have, or just in general point out some of the darker truths of things people hold dear like a religion's past or our nation's past, they think I'm somehow reveling in it and anti whatever the topic is. I once pointed out to someone that Jesus wasn't white. Not well received at all. I once commented that Jesus was crucified for causing political dissonance. He was seen as a threat to the government, and his followers were seen as a mob that could cause trouble. I am Christian, born and raised, and I believe in God. I was unfriended by a person who felt my statement about Jesus was anti-Christian. From a historical standpoint, it's the truth as far as anyone can tell from ancient writings. Heck, not just historical. It's in the freaking Bible. Mark 11:15-18. On reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple courts and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. 16. And would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. 17. And as he taught them, he said, "Is it not written, 'My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations'? But you have made it a den of robbers." 18. The chief priests and the teachers of the law heard this and began looking for a way to kill him, for they feared him, because the whole crowd was amazed at his teaching. It's funny you mention this because I was raised as a Christian, and when I was younger always tried to push the youth group shirt idea. Front, WWJD. Back, Jesus flipping over a table wearing sunglasses. It was never approved. Years of academy training, wasted. Did the person who unfriended you miss the point where Jesus wrecked a temple for doing things in a way he saw as unfit for a place of worship? Or that he was the leader of a religious order that purposefully went against the norm of the day? I swear it's like most Christians have never even read the Bible. I'm currently reading a series of books about trying to find the historical Jesus behind the religious stories about him, A Marginal Jew by John Meyer, and he describes the various criteria you can use to try to sort out which stories and sayings might actually be historically true. One is called the criterion of rejection and execution. It directs our attention to the historical fact that Jesus met a violent end at the hands of Jewish and Roman officials, and then asks us what historical words and deeds of Jesus can explain his trial and crucifixion. A. Bland Jesus, who simply told people to look at the lilies of the field. Such a Jesus would threaten no one. The historical Jesus did threaten, disturb, and infuriate people, from interpreters of the law through the Jerusalem priestly aristocracy to the Roman prefect who finally tried and crucified him. This emphasis on Jesus' violent end is not simply a focus imposed on the data by Christian theology. To outsiders like Josephus, Tacitus, and Lucian of Samosata, one of the most striking things about Jesus was his crucifixion or execution by Rome. A Jesus whose words and deeds would not alienate people, especially powerful people, is not the historical Jesus. Oh, I like this. Legal does not equal moral. Moral does not equal legal. Example: yes, I agree that the executor of the estate should notify you of what's going on with Graham's estate. Yes, I understand being left in the cold sucks. No, I cannot do anything about it, because while crafty, it is not illegal. There is no law against being a butthole. Yep, adultery is legal and MLMs are legal, both are unethical. Edit: MLM equals multi-level marketing. I feel this so much. I worked for an estate planning attorney for years. So when daughter number 4, who is estranged from mom, comes into my office demanding mom's POA, I have to tell her I can't even confirm if her mother is a client, much less be handing out her legal documents. Then I have to maintain my professionalism whole. She screams in my face and calls me a bitch. You don't have to understand someone's hobby to just accept that they enjoy it. As long as it's not hurting anyone, let them have fun. Onion headline captures this well: man who enjoys thing is informed he is wrong. That is really good. And the opposite: if someone doesn't like something you like, please stop forcing them to, or wondering what's wrong with them, or saying but you just haven't had it the right way, etc. That working remotely doesn't mean I'm effing around and watching YouTube all day. I've got a lot of crap to do. Being at home means the work is still hard, but the environment isn't a sad, depressing gray office. Also, Sometimes I F around and watch YouTube, but I did that in the office too. I still get my work done. Nothing is wrong, I'm just quiet. Pointing out that someone is being quiet is the absolute worst thing you can do if you're trying to start a conversation. Why are you so quiet? Well, you're not talking to me either. Because I have crippling social anxiety and I'm putting a lot of effort into not breaking down right now. Then they laugh a bit, I laugh a bit. They think I'm joking, I'm not. The one day I was talkative in kindergarten, the teacher got angry at me. Now I have social anxiety. Oh crap, is that really a cause? Because I have a very clear memory of a day like that, like 5th grade I think. Got sent out in the hall for talking too much, broke down crying, and I don't recall being all that anxious until after that day. But, if I observe someone who is normally more talkative suddenly less so, is it bad to address them, individually, in a way that's like, hey, noticed you've been a little quiet today. You alright? This scenario is fine. It's the people who've never met you in their life, and only say this because they can't stand not to be talking for 30 seconds, that we dread. Yes, as that person. Just don't ask more than once. Then it's annoying. Give me a reason to talk and I will. I'm a teacher and can keep an entire room of middle schoolers focused and on task, can run professional development for other teachers I don't even know, whatever. But once I'm off stage, nope, I have absolutely no interest in drawing attention to myself. I get this so much. I'm not upset, I'm quiet. I don't have much to say, that's all. Awareness does not mean acceptance. It never has and it never will. That I do not speak to my mother or any family. It doesn't matter that she is my mother, she is a nasty person, and sadly, the rest of my family is too. ETA, to the few negative comments about this, just because people are related to you, it does not mean you need to put up with them, and being family means F all. Your own family can be incredibly abusive and toxic like mine are, and there's nothing wrong with cutting them off. I came on here to comment the exact same thing, and yours was the first to pop up. Seeing someone else who's chosen the same path always brings me a little relief, and I feel less alone in a world of I can't live without my mom. I really wish that more people understood that mothers can be terrible people just like anyone else. I went no contact with my entire family almost 3 years ago, and it was the best decision I could have made for myself. I grieved and I learned to move forward with their absence, the same way you would with a death. Sadly, especially with dating, having no contact with family is seen by some as a red flag. It's pretty crappy to try to navigate these days. Yes, it is nice to know we're not alone. It's why it's difficult to give up this last bit of social media. Here I find stories like mine, and the isolation of estrangement isn't so hard to handle. It's good to hear I'm not alone in this when it comes to dating. I'm so tired of being judged for not having a good relationship with my family, like it automatically makes me the butthole. When people grow up in a nurturing and loving household, they assume all the people around them grew up in the same conditions. In these people's eyes, everything a mother does, she does for love. They're oblivious how nasty and abusive some people can be with their own kin. My family is somehow decent, but I'm aware that some mothers are straight up human garbage. She does for love. They're oblivious how nasty and abusive some people can be with their own kin. Or how sometimes in their minds, they're being nasty and abusive out of love. Stop posting about my mom on the internet. My family has never met my children. I had to cut them out of my life for my own sanity 25 years ago. I honestly don't know if my parents are even still alive. Yes. This has frustrated me so much. I once had someone tell me it was emotional immaturity on my part, and that I needed to grow up and stop acting like a teen. It was so frustrating not being taken seriously. Whenever people tell me they don't talk to their family anymore, my first thought is usually good for you. Honest to God. Some families are just awful, some parents don't deserve kids, and no one deserves an explanation for your life choices. Some of the happiest, most successful people I know aren't connected to their family anymore, and have instead built their own family through good friends. I have massive respect for people that do this. I think it's literally out of some people's comprehension. My best friend has to do the same. Her mom was not there for her growing up and actually very abusive to her, causing a ton of trauma and anxiety issues. The both of you shouldn't have to keep explaining why you don't want that person or family in your life. Trying to navigate this now, and I feel like I'm wearing a scarlet letter. But I don't feel like explaining the reasons why I don't speak to them, because everyone always has this "you'll come around, but it's your family. How about I don't give a F?" I just give blunt honesty when people mention it now. Me, we don't see my wife's father at all. Obnoxious person with faux concern. Oh, why? It's her father, she only has one. Me, because he ruthlessly beat her as a child, and if I'm ever in the room with him, I'll murder him with my own two hands. That usually ends things. Random acquaintance, but family, you only have one dad and you'll regret it later if you don't call him for Father's Day. Blah blah blah. Friend, the first time he raped me I was 10. Shut that conversation down pretty damn fast. Every single person I know who has no or limited contact with family has a damn good reason for it. Even if they're not as blunt about it, it's pretty safe to assume there is a reason. It enrages me that instead of asking themselves, gee, what could they have done for their child to not want them? People instead ask, wow, what's wrong with the child that they don't speak to the parent? To add insult to injury, I remember people seeing how nuts my parents are and then still urging me to forgive them. Like, no thanks. When my sister stopped talking to my dad, I was just like, yep. 0% her fault. 100% his. No questions asked. If other people give her crap for it, I just kindly explain to them they are wrong. Some health issues are not visible. Chronic fatigue is real. Don't get me started. Have severe incurable chronic pain, chronic nausea, and chronic fatigue. Among other illnesses, yet I look normal. Too many people don't realize you can be both typical looking and seriously disabled. Ah, but have you tried yoga? Drinking more water? Vitamins? I have chronic pain too. I hate those effing questions. Why it's okay to go no contact with toxic family members. Random person, OMG, you don't speak to your parents? Why not? Me, I have PTSD. RP, what? Kids these days just throw around PTSD. Only vets have PTSD. You don't have PTSD, I'm sure they did everything out of love. Me, no. I mean, I have an actual medical diagnosis of PTSD. From abuse. Silence. This. I am no contact with my aunt and uncle because they are terrible people. When my mom told my uncle my grandfather had abused me, he blocked us and lied to the rest of the family that we stole inheritance. Also, the PTSD thing pisses me off so bad. Like, do you have a medical degree? The person who diagnosed me did. I'll take their word for it. Yes, I wear a helmet when I ride my motorcycle when people see me in all my gear minus my helmet because I leave it on my bike. The all gear thing should be pretty obvious. In New Hampshire, you're not legally required to wear a helmet. One time I saw a guy riding a motorcycle on the highway crossing the border from MA to NH, and as he crossed over, he reached up and removed his while going 70+ mph. That must have been quite the sight, not to mention sketchy on his part doing that at speed. Did he just put the helmet in his lap? I ride as well, and honesty, that's kind of scary. Maybe I just don't trust myself, but that seems like a big maneuver while doing 70. Guys in full gear have fell off the bike and lived to tell the tale. Guys in flip-flops and shorts and no helmet will soon learn their lesson, if they live through a bad experience to tell the tale. I drove dirt bikes and I learned real quickly that protection is important regardless of speed or perceived low risk. Dress for the slide, not the ride. I can't whistle or burp on purpose, and yes, I have in fact tried for hours and hours throughout my life. You think you're suddenly going to be Whistle Teacher of Year and crack the uncrackable code that is my whistle learning disability with just put your lips together and blow. Whistling can't be taught because everybody's mouth has a slightly different shape. Techniques that work for one person aren't necessarily going to work for another. It's just something you have to keep trying at. Keep manipulating your lips, tongue shape and position, and jaw until you accidentally stumble across a breathy whistle-like sound. At that point, you're halfway to learning how to whistle. Edit, just a heads up, You might stumble across a whistling sound that comes from your throat rather than your lips. That's really not what you should be aiming for, though. Wanting others to have a better life than we had should be the goal, and forcing hardships on others simply because you had to endure it is a really crafty way to live your life. Someone on here once said something along the lines of, if you want people to endure hardships because you did, and you turned out fine, you did not, in fact, turn out fine. I always liked that way of putting it. That my tattoos don't have to have a big meaning. I liked them back then and I like them now. Only reason I got them was because I thought they looked cool. You have to tattoo to explain the other tattoos. Web link. My coworker said he has a tattoo on his inner bottom lip. I asked why. He answered by showing me the tattoo, which says, "Because I can." Can't argue with that answer. What does this tattoo mean? It means I had a couple $100 extra at some point. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.